What is up, everybody? It's James Bush. I am a coach for speakers and a speaker myself. I've been coaching for the last 10 years and I've built up a bunch of tips and tricks which I love to share. I began coaching students for academia. I was teaching science and maths, helping students get ready for exams, helping them learn, improve their learning, and I got pretty good at it, if I say so myself. I now use all those secrets and tips when I'm coaching speakers, and it's allowed me to win contests and evaluation, and people love getting feedback from me. So, I'm not a master of this, but I'm going to try and share what I know. This video is about the good could matrix. I made it up right now. It's the name I give for coaching based on the kind of person who's in front of you. This is a natural follow-on from the last couple of videos I made. One was on what to look for when you're evaluating a speaker, and the other one was around some mentality points on how to coach effectively. So, we're going to look now at coaching across confidence and competence. Here's the matrix. Let's go straight to it. You've got two axes. Was it good? And could. Could they do it? Did they have the confidence? That's what that's about. So, let's talk about good and high could people. These are your good coulds. These are your performers. They've got high confidence and they've got high competence. You know exactly who they are. They are the leading speakers in your group. They are the best and they're confident and they have an awareness of that. On the flip side, you've got people who are frozen. They are low confidence and low competence. Maybe they do not speak very well. They're very anxious. They get in their own way. Their ideas are unstructured. These are on the other end of the spectrum. Then we've got two other cases here. We've got inhibited people. They have low confidence, but they've got high competence. So maybe they speak very well. They're just very shy and reserved, and they don't believe that they're speaking well. These are your low self-belief people, low self-esteem maybe. Perhaps they're shy and they have a visibility problem. They don't want to show themselves. Then you've got the polar opposite. These are people who are high confidence, they're loud, they're energetic, but what they're talking about doesn't really make any sense. They're all energy, there's no logic, there's no value in what they talk about. And we've got slightly different approaches with how do we deal with each of these people. We need to stabilize people who are low confidence, low competence. We need to unlock the confidence of inhibited people. We need to redirect some of that energy of the mavericks. And with people who are already performing, we're looking at high-level refinement to elevate their game even higher. So, the performer. These people are easy to coach, and I'll give a caveat to that in a minute. They're easy to coach because we can talk about all the things they're doing well. We can see how they land well with the audience. They storytell, they use stage presence well, and they take risks freely. So what we're looking at here is how do we take them to an even higher level? This is about refinement on what's already good, as opposed to looking at foundational skills. Often they are in a position of comfort, so there's a higher sense of safety, which I talked about in a different video. That means that feedback can be more direct and it can be more stripped away from fluffy language. For example, if I was coaching a world champion of public speaking, I wouldn't need to be quite so careful as if I was coaching someone who just gave their first speech. Power of one, I spoke about this in a different video, but I still want to focus on what's one thing that I think the speaker can improve, whether they're experienced or not. Focusing on one thing is a discipline which allows them to iterate on that one thing until something else becomes the sort of attention or persuasion limiting factor. Again, feedback is about taking them higher. It's not about correcting them. Again, we're not here to correct people. We're here to take them to a higher level. And this point is made here, but it counts for every speaker. We're not fixing something, we're helping these guys separate from the rest of the pack. So, sandwich, we still want to talk about the positives, and here we have an opportunity to praise. What I think some evaluators struggle with when they're speaking or evaluating a very fantastic speaker is they feel like they have to just praise, and they feel like they're not giving any value to the speaker or to the audience. First off, praising is of value when it's sincere. I sincerely believe this was a fantastic story, and it really held our attention. And I loved the way that you closed everything and used imagery throughout the story. It lets the speaker know that they are having the impact they want to have on you, and you can talk about that impact. The impact for me was I felt transported into another place. I forgot about where I was for a minute, and I felt the emotion of, you can talk about the emotion that you felt, of surprise, of excitement, of inspiration. The feedback you can give them in terms of a recommendation, you might say, well, one thing I would have loved to have heard and I was surprised to not hear in your speech. And here's where you might want to, often we don't talk about evaluating the speech you would have liked to have heard, but you could say something from that. You can share some ideas. Or perhaps you noticed many great things about the speech, and you might ask, well, what didn't I see here? And that's a way of thinking about what could the speaker do differently. They might be developing heavily down one axis of speech, like having a very logically tight speech, but they didn't use any stories. You could say, hey, I'd love to hear some personal connection, some storytelling. Let's talk about the maverick. So, these people have got a lot of confidence, but maybe it's not in line with how good they actually are as a speaker, in terms of their impact through speaking is not matching up to their assessment of their own ability and their ability to maybe get up on stage and talk freely. So we want to protect their confidence. We're not here to bring them down for the sake of doing it. There's no value in that. Some people want to take down anyone who thinks that they're above them. And we're not there to label them as arrogant or a problem person. No. We're here to perhaps talk about where the gap is in where they think they are and the impact that I'm experiencing. You wanted to persuade me here. This was what your speech was about. And when I reflected afterwards, these were the elements which I agreed with, but this is where it fell apart for me. And I'd love to hear a bit more on this, and this is how I think you could do it. We want to redirect that enthusiasm they have into developing a special aspect of their speech. Hey, I see your enthusiasm. I can tell you care about being here. I want to praise that enthusiasm because that probably is still at work for them. And at the same time, they care. That is why they're showing up with such energy. I want to acknowledge that. So, they've got some natural boldness. How do we add the techniques, the structure, the delivery, which supplements that? My sense of some of these people is they can be delicate. A lot of people who have a lot of confidence, often maybe that can be an appearance of confidence. Still keep your feedback graceful, encouraging, and objective, rather than trying to bring them down because you think they need to be taken down a notch or two. Inhibited people. You come across someone who seems like an absolute genius in their field, but their presentation skills or sense of ability on stage just doesn't seem to quite match up with how great they really are. Self-doubt is the main issue here. So, what do we want to hear when we have self-doubt? We want to hear a sense of, yeah, you're right to be here. And this is having a great impact on all of us. You belong here. And this is right. This is good. They are probably already a harsh critic for themselves. That's why they have a bit of self-doubt. We don't want to decimate them by bringing them down further or by overloading our criticism. Instead, we want to try and pick out and push up the praise points even higher. Perhaps you know about strength-based coaching. Talk about this individual's strengths. How do we take that strength even higher? Let them know you have a natural strength in amazing analysis. I think that really shines through in this speech. When I'm working with people who I'm trying to develop a sense of confidence for or support them with, I am more encouraging than with any other type. So, acceleration agreement. Yeah, I'm generally not trying to push their development much further, faster. We want to build their confidence up slowly and steadily. And here there's an internal voice which is bringing them down. We want to keep giving them an external message which raises their internal voice up. Let's talk about freezers or frozen people. These are people who are unwilling to take risks. They haven't got the confidence piece, nor are they really able to have audience impact yet. This might be the beginning of their journey, or they might just have been stuck at a certain level for a very long time because they are not listening. I think this is a challenging one to work with. If they're early on in their journey, often I'm just encouraging. Focused on the relationship. I want to make sure that there is a relationship first and foremost. There's safety. I'm not there to offer feedback to bring them down. Trying to focus on one piece of feedback at a time. I'm looking at what the biggest thing I think they should work on is. Not necessarily the most important gap, but where I think they'll get the most value. And part of that value is getting them on a train to success, one victory after another. And then I want to give them the next steps. Again, meeting people where they are. These people have neither confidence nor masses of ability, so I'm trying to just meet them where they are. I'm not trying to rush their development. One exception here. I have worked with people who are tremendously stuck, and they've been stuck for years, and they are stuck in a cycle of complaining, of low confidence and low competence. But maybe they're confident only in their complaining or something like that. In general, I think this is a really advanced and difficult position to coach, but in that couple of instances, I've seen it as I should say something which is perhaps more direct, more blunt than they've heard before or something, because it might be a kindness to help shake them. If they've been working on something for years and they're still really stuck, not in a great place, a more blunt message might cut through some of the internal defense mechanisms that they have, that kind of thing built up, rather than using my full sandwich. That is a very, advanced caveat if I'm working with someone who I am honestly concerned about as coaching doesn't seem to be working for them. If they're not changing through coaching, it can be because they've got too much internal baggage which is getting in the way of them actually getting anything from working with you. It can be a kindness to acknowledge that, to say something very directly and acknowledge that that might be the end of that relationship, but it can be a kindness for them in the long term. So, just reminding some of the points that hold up in each quarter, or each quadrant I should say. Feedback sandwich, nearly always commending, recommending, and commending again. Leave them with something positive, leave them with an uplifting sense, inspire them, commend them for the activity they've done. They took a risk, they took time out of their day to make this happen. Good for them. Good job, you. Keep going. The power of one, focus on one thing. What's the one thing I expect them to take away from this? I want them to take away from this. Not trying to give them 5 things that they can forget by tomorrow morning. I want to give them one thing which sticks. I'm not trying to dilute them. I'm not trying to over-aggrandize them. At the same time, I'm not trying to decimate them or bring them down. If I'm doing either of those things, I need to talk to myself about this first. That is not helpful coaching. It's not helpful evaluation. So we bring it all together. What's a single point for improvement? Who is this person and where are they in their journey? And how am I going to package this feedback so that it's sequenced right and received well. Commend, recommend, commend. Put a hook on the front, get some attention. Close it with a nice strap line, a nice key line that sums it all up, leaves them feeling good and gives them a clear call to action. And here's a final point, aftercare. If I take a risk and I share some hard feedback and I get a sense like, oh, that didn't land quite the way I want to check in with them afterwards. Did that land right? Did I upset you? I just want to check in with you. I want to know everything's okay. I'm not waiting days for that. Within 24 hours if I think I've overstepped something. I think that is everything. Yep, I hope that helps. Let me know if any of this was interesting. This is a matrix I made up for how I'm working with different speakers at different levels, different degrees of confidence. For me, there are two things to think about. How confident are they? Do they feel they can do something? And then, can they do it? Are they good at it? So, good and could and good, whichever way it was. Let me know if you found this useful, interesting. What was your favorite part? What did I miss? What would you like to hear about more? And hope to see you in a future video.